Welcome back to my crazy world, everyone. I'm John, and first off, let me wish you guys all happy holidays. We're a couple days beyond Christmas, a couple days before the new year, and I just want to wish you guys a good 2025. Beyond that, let's give you an update on what's been going on with the Nova, because it's actually been gone for a couple of months now. So the Nova's been gone for about 2 months now. The painter came and picked it up at the end of October. He said he'd need it for about 2 to 3 weeks, and that would probably be the case if he was working on it, 40 hours a week. He's had it now for about 2 months, and it's probably going to be a couple more weeks before I get it back. This is a bit unfortunate for me because it's definitely putting me behind schedule. I hurt my back at the end of August, and that moved me back in the queue with the painter by about a month and a half, and now he's had it longer than I expected. So instead of getting the car back by the end of October and being able to work on it while it's cool in my garage through basically all of winter and all of spring, I'm probably going to be getting the car back at the very end of winter or the beginning of spring, and it's only going to give me a couple of months to work on it before it starts getting hot in the garage. I had been hoping to get it at least drivable before it started getting too hot out here, but it looks like that's not going to be the case. At any rate, I went ahead and I bought a bunch of parts for it. I've got the 6-speed Tremec T56 manual transmission. I got the LS conversion headers. I've got a transmission expansion hump because I'm probably going to have to splice and dice the transmission tunnel to make this T56 work. I've got all the clutch and the mock-ups for the LS engine and the T56 transmission here. I also went ahead and got the Holley EFI fuel tank with the EFI fuel pump and everything already integrated into it, purchased. And once I get the car back, I can go ahead and start getting everything fitted up and preparing it to take the actual components by using these mock-ups. Additionally, the engine is already ordered. It's being built by Blueprint Engines. It's going to be a 427 cubic inch LS3 engine through them. And yeah, should be a good time once I get the car and all the parts in my hand and start working through all the obstacles that that's going to bring. But before we get to that part, let's go ahead and catch you guys up on all the other little stuff that I did to the car before it went to the painters and get you guys caught up on where the car is actually at now.
I bought all these parts on Amazon to be able to connect the steering back up with the new Speedway Motors subframe. Cost me about $100 all total, and just took a little bit of work, but that was a far better option than spending $400 or $500 through some part suppliers to get basically the exact same parts. So here I'm chopping down the steering shaft to make it short enough, put a chamfer on the end of it. After that, go ahead and cut down the linkage. Put a chamfer on it as well. And then assemble the whole mechanism the best I can. Get all these screws Loctited and get ready to go in the car. Putting in the car is pretty straightforward. This, by the way, is not going to be the final steering linkage for this vehicle. The I Did It steering column that I have has a different output shaft, so a lot of this stuff is going to be replaced. This is literally just so I can roll it out of the garage, get it on the trailer for the painter, have him move it around his shop and bring it back to me. And then this will be getting the final before the car becomes roadworthy. Next, I had to cut the fenders back just a little bit. I still maintained quite a bit of the horizontal part of the wheel arch, but I needed to make space for the 275/50 R15 tires that I put underneath the car. These are generally considered the widest tires that you can put under a Nova without needing mini tubs. I can go up to a 275/60 R15 possibly, but we'll cross that bridge some other day. Right now I just want these to fit, and as you can see, there's not a whole lot of space. I've gone ahead and removed all the old sound deadening material off of the roof of the Nova. It was basically disintegrating to the touch anyways, and I'm going to replace it with this flatline sound deadening kit that I got from Classic Industries. The whole kit for the entire car only weighs about 7 pounds, which is a lot less than Dynamat or something equivalent, and should give me enough sound deadening. The T56 6-speed manual transmission that I'm putting in here is significantly larger than the original transmissions that came in the Nova, so it's going to need some modification in the bell housing area and the transmission tunnel. I was able to air hammer it out by about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Reliable sources say I need about 2 inches, but at least I'm a lot further now before I start cutting, splicing, and welding patch panels in. We'll see how close I am once I get the car back from paint. The last major project I had before the Nova was ready for the painter was getting the dash rust repair taken care of. I had to cut a patch panel out from a full-on dash. After that, I sprayed the under portion that was partially corroded with some primer to try and prevent further corrosion. A little bit of final fitting with a file to try and make sure the fit up is as close as I could get it. After that, tack weld everything into place. Heat distortion ended up being a bit of a problem for me just because the metal was so thin and I had to weld so much of it. Eventually it's welded all the way around. It's really welded way too thick, but at least it's welded all the way in there. And then I have to go and grind everything down and try and make it as smooth and flush as possible. And eventually it's good enough to go over to the painters and have them fill it in and fix it up the rest of the way. But at least I was able to get it about 90-95% of the way there. If you don't think it's good enough, this is the way that it started. Pretty bad. That window seal wasn't doing it any favors. And this is what it looked like after I cut all the old rusted portion out. It was actually rusted more than it looked. So here's some old shots of the Nova from before I started sandblasting it, what it looked like in kind of its pre-restoration state, and then as I started sandblasting it and getting it ready for its first round of auto body repair work while I was still living in Florida before I moved to Texas. But that brings you up to date with where the Nova is now, what its current status is, and what it took to get here. As you can see, the car was relatively solid, but had a little bit of rust here and there, a little bit of damage here and there. But in the end, it's going to be almost a new car by the time I've put everything in it. Please like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you again soon. There's a lot more to come.